Welcome to the Founders Table. I'm the founder of 2050 Community. This week on the Founders Table, we're talking with our friend DJ and legendary man about London, Mr. Russ Jones of Hackney GT Clothing Label. Russ has been associated with historic parties such as the Blue Note, London Calling, Passing Clouds, and record label Far Out Recordings. I know you're going to enjoy him as much as we do. All right, well, good morning, Russ. How are you?
All good. Afternoon in the UK, as it happens.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you got your lunch going.
Yeah, I've turned it off, especially for you.
I get the special treatment.
You do indeed.
Well, you know, it's true. We have known each other a very long time, Russ. And I was thinking about it the other day. It is insane. I think it's like plus 20 years at this point.
Yeah,
They-
I
you-
must be 97, something like that, 98.
Yeah. But no, I was thinking like 96, 97. And then come to find out, you were hanging out in New York prior to that at the same parties that I was at. I just didn't know you were there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, right. When you were talking about giant stuff, and then you were coming over to New York doing that whole
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were there.
Wow,
So,
there you go.
yeah. So the Mitchells have been stalking you for a really long time. Yeah, well, you've been cherished friend of the family, which thanks for coming on the show.
Well,
What have you been up to? Because stuff is mental out there. Seriously, what's going on in London?
not so much, like everywhere, I guess, but it's good. For me, it's good because, there's always this FOMO thing going on, and I enjoy being out.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, there isn't that pressure. It's like, I can
Oh,
relax
that's
a
true.
little bit.
Now we can
So,
feel like the old people we are.
yeah,
Stay
so
at home and have a cuppa.
going to bed early, getting up early, just lots of working out, gardening,
Nice.
bit of work. So
Bit
yeah,
of yoga.
it's
Bit of yoga.
yeah, well, and creativity. I did my own little broadcast for a month, pretty much every day from my kitchen for an hour. Kind of food,
Yeah.
healthy food, music, just spontaneous. And
Yeah.
we reached
It's
out
a
to
good time.
700 people one day, so that was pretty
Yeah,
good.
brilliant.
Mm,
Yeah. Isn't it? It's amazing how easy it's become to do.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it as well, and it's like all of a sudden growing up to stand in front of a camera or put a mic in front of you, but anyway, I think most of us, it wasn't culturally part what we were used to, so you'd be very nervous, and now
So yeah.
it's so much more natural, and particularly for young people, like they can strike a pose just like that. It's like, wow, and like
Right.
my generation, we were just like horrified to stand in front of a camera. It was so yeah, big changes like that. But yeah, fun. It is fun.
Is it? That's
Mm.
amazing. And I was saying in our last show, we're lucky because we have the luxury to be having a good time during this situation. So thank goodness for that.
Well,
Some of us are making, the best of the time we can. And so your people, everybody around you basically is doing okay with
yeah,
all the
I think.
COVID
I
stuff.
mean,
That's awesome.
when you say luxury, I mean that's for me for sure, and hopefully for you, but definitely not for everybody. So,
Right. Exactly.
yeah, if you do have that luxury, then you damn better use it, really. So,
Right. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
if you're a family who's been stuck in a council, in a high rise with not even a balcony,
Yeah. Not so fun.
that could be tough. So,
Yeah. It is tough. It is
mm.
tough. So you are focusing on your fashion brand at the moment, isn't it? Tell us about that. How did that start? Why cycling? I mean, I was there a little. I kind of remember meeting up with you during that time, but tell the world because it's really quite interesting.
Well, I worked in music for many, many years, and it was becoming harder and harder with the kind of digital age coming on just to make a living out of music other than performing. And I've done a lot of DJing and loved it, but kind of creatively coming to the end of that, and it had worn me out. It actually kind of pretty much made me ill, the late nights and all of that. And that
Mm,
was, yeah, I just felt that I was, and creatively, kind of after a while, putting one piece of music on after another, or one record after another, it's like, where else can you go with that? And
yeah,
I wanted to do other things, and I'd known that for
yeah.
quite a while, really. So, and cycling had always been a big passion of mine, and I had it in mind for a while that I'm going to create a cycle jersey, or maybe one day I'd
Mm.
have a team or something. And then I just started doing research, just randomly one day, and found that in China there was just like absolute thousands of factories making sportswear, and you could do it quite easily. So
Ah,
that was kind of like, oh, okay, this can be done. And I had no knowledge of fashion industry, no knowledge of really making anything or running a business like that. But I'm kind of the eternal optimist, and
right.
just thought, I can do that. Little did I know how hard it would be.
Okay.
Hardest thing I've ever attempted to
Is
do.
it?
Yeah,
Is it?
definitely. Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
What
it's
what's the
manufacturing
difference?
something. Well,
Yeah.
when you work self-employed, creative freelance person, it's very simple, really. It's kind of almost very hand to mouth, and
Mm,
but when you've got to start designing things and making things and exporting or importing stuff and shipping
mm,
things and
mm,
you know technical fabrics and patterns and oh,
mm,
and setting up limited companies and uh,
mm.
so many things, so many things. It's
No one would have ever imagined you wanting to do any of those things.
no stock control.
All the boring stuff.
Mm. So all of that.
Gee,
I mean,
yeah.
definitely. I mean, to have an idea, create a design, and
Yeah.
then send it to a factory, and then. I mean, the first order I did, and when it came back, I couldn't open the box quick enough. It was like, it's
Mm,
extremely exciting. And then when you first see
yeah.
people you don't know wearing your stuff on the street or something, or that's it's
That's
a real buzz.
amazing.
It's a real buzz.
Yeah.
So.
Where are you getting your influence from in terms of the designs and your creative strategy for the brands? What's influencing you?
Do you know? Because you put to me like a few questions before the interview, and where what are my inspirations and who's my inspiration, and I really I don't. It's not so much who, but kind of where or how, and it's
Mm,
cultural, and for me, it's street
yeah,
culture, really.
yeah, yeah.
That's where the inspiration always come from. And there are people who've inspired me, but they're not people anybody knows or even necessarily I know.
How's
Just
about
people
yeah.
I've seen, or
Right, yeah.
infamous people in a way. But I think so.
Mm,
Yeah, street culture very much. And the whole kind of my background of being a kid growing up in the 80s was skateboarding and BMX and
yeah,
post punk. So that
yeah,
all of that is still a big inspiration to me. So I
yeah,
love that whole lifestyle that was around that and kind of counterculture, really.
yeah.
And that still inspires me. Yeah, and I still want to buy into that and pay homage to it. So,
Yeah, I hear you. I'm the same. Yeah. I was wondering, but are you making all the designs yourself or you have someone in now?
well, I'm it's almost like a disability in this kind of digital age. I'm really bad with Photoshop and Illustrator, and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm not. I can't even really draw. So I just.
Yeah.
But I get ideas. Say it just come
Yeah.
from. It can come from anywhere. To be perfectly honest, I mean, I went to someone's house the other day, and they're doing
No,
like
I know how you do it. I've seen you in action.
tapestry. They
Yeah,
were doing.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love the colours and the pattern, and I thought, wow. So, but yeah, the inspiration can come from anywhere. So sometimes I see people in the street, and I'm sneaking up behind them to get a photo of them, so,
Yeah.
or asking if
Yeah.
I can take a picture, or it can be, yeah,
Yeah.
just I don't know, all over the place, to be honest. So my thing that I'm designing at the moment, I've just done a jersey, kind of based on like a kind of Ocean Pacific, kind of
Mm.
1980s Hawaiian kind of vibe.
Oh, nice. Yeah, nice, nice.
And I have not seen that on cycle products. And everything cycle fashion is very conservative at the moment, very black and very minimal.
Mm.
And this is the
Mm,
complete opposite. I've done a bright blue
nice.
jersey with like a sunset kind of vibe and palm
Nice.
trees and
Nice.
um, yeah, and it really has an 80s feel to it. So I want to kind of carry on down that direction for a little bit. So
That the Santa Cruz vibe.
exactly, Santa Cruz, exactly. So
Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah,
surf and skateboard sort of thing, and I'm looking at
yeah.
old school BMX, motocross from the 70s.
I
I'm
love
looking
it.
at kind of like cars when they used to have all these kind of decals on the sides, and
Yeah, yeah.
almost like 18 kind of vibe. Or so yeah,
That's awesome. I mean, people have always thought you to be you're like the quintessential eccentric, but I think your tastes have always been very relatable. I mean, I do remember you before you became the colorful glasses, Russ.
right.
but like you can barely remember that because it's such your thing and it's such your look and it's very relatable. It's very inspiring. I think the things you draw from are things that people love but maybe don't know how to pull together as well as you do.
Mm, yeah,
Yeah, and so I think that sounds really fun. Actually, what we can do would definitely throw up some
yeah.
photos, yeah, so that people can see the stuff you're
Okay.
working on. We'll make
So
sure they get the links and all that stuff. Yeah.
So with regards to designing, yeah, the point of being, I can't design.
Yeah.
Someone said I'm what they call a creative art director. So I get an idea and I pay people to make my ideas happen. So
That's amazing. Well, that's what I was wondering because I
mm,
think at some point, I remember I thought I wanted to get into fashion when I was younger, and so, and I'm in New York City, so I was at a special high school. They had a program like that, and I started. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I don't think I want to do all this work. I'm like definitely more of a creative director type than yeah, patterns and sewing and
mm.
having to, yeah, that stuff is just not for me. But so do you think that the digital space is making your work easier? Is it changing the playing fields a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's very it's very interesting. I heard Chris Blackwell from Ireland, who set up Island Records, a legendary record label.
Yeah, yeah,
He said,
yeah.
"Would you do it again?" He said, "I'd do it again straight away." And he said, like, there's never been a better time, he felt, to run a record label because you can be your own record label, you can produce your own videos and put them on YouTube, and
Yeah.
everything is accessible. So that's
Mm,
all of a sudden you can have a shop for $25, $50 a month online, as opposed to
yeah.
having to rent a space or have a market
Yeah.
stall. Uh,
Yeah.
so everything's a lot more accessible, but then everybody else is at it. So it's then
Right.
the difficult, it's not difficult to produce something or even necessarily have a great idea and make something cool, but it's then getting it noticed. That
Getting in
is
front of people.
that is the really tricky bit. I
Yeah, because
I
now,
think.
like, the mainstream is flooded. It is flooded. So, I mean, that was part of the reason to do what we're doing now is to kind of get all of these incredible ideas and people under one umbrella. So at least we can be a one-stop shop for people who want that bespoke, curated sort of, content, and they know they're going to get good fashion, good music, good ideas, good conversation, because at this point when I go online and when I was going online the last couple of years, I just everything it's buried.
Mm,
And you don't know what to believe anymore. You don't know what to trade. Like, is this fake? Is this, it's very quite toxic
mm,
at the moment. So these awesome stories though are out there. Like you're a gem in the midst of all of that. How you're using the digital space, super positive, and I love it because it's sort of like that age barrier, for those of us who are willing to, take the time, we can get in on this too, even though we're kind of past the age
yeah.
for
Well,
starting out. We grew up where things were analog. Like we had records, we had to make clothes, we had to sew, all that stuff. But it's changing now. It's amazing.
yeah, I'm 51, and I don't have a problem to tell people that. It's like, I think it's amazing that still can live a pretty, youthful life
Yeah,
if I choose to, and
yeah,
and I can. Young people, they don't have a problem with older people either, So all of a sudden, I can relate to my peers or people older and people younger, and those divisions have come down. I mean, we live in divided society in many respects, but I think
Yeah.
some respects the age division, it doesn't have to be there like it did before, which is that's a really
Mm.
positive thing. So
Mm. Yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
Mm.
Absolutely. And you don't have to have that like corporate like London office, the
No,
overhead, the
no.
going to, staff, employee, like
Mm.
it gets rid of that whole debacle,
Yeah,
which
I
really
mean,
drains your creative energy.
for sure. I think I heard there was a talk on the future of music industry like 15 years ago, and they kind of predicted what's happening now.
Mm,
And what they were saying was, there's going to be less in the music industry. There'll probably be less people like Paul McCartney absolutely killing it, but lots more
mm,
people making a living.
mm.
So you know,
Yeah, that's interesting
and
balance.
I
Yeah.
think for me, I'm at a point in my life where to get up every day and do something you enjoy and yeah, make a living.
Mm,
I don't need to be wealthy. I don't need a lot. Actually, I've got a creative idea I want to do at some point. Where, like people do, they do like a photo montage of their kit if they're going on an expedition or bike
sure,
thing or whatever.
yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I
So
have, yeah.
I think it's about doing like the essential things, doing a photo thing of the essential things I need in life, and it's
Right.
like one, a pair of Vans, one bicycle. It's like,
I know that question of what is essential
yeah,
is really interesting for sure.
a penguin book, a pair of swimming trunks, a
Yeah,
pair of running
yeah.
shoes, a Gore-Tex jacket.
Mm,
one pair of jeans. Like
yeah.
really, we don't need that much.
Well, we've seen your car, so we kind of know you're already there. You're already there. You got everything. You've
Yeah,
got like all your bare essentials in there. You could go anywhere if you just fell off the planet. You'd have everything you needed already in there.
for
That's a good.
sure.
I think that's a really cool and interesting lifestyle.
Mm.
But I think that freedom, though, do you feel like are we going to get it back? How are you? Are you like a caged animal? Like, are you still able to get out and ride? What's been happening with the freedom aspect of lifestyle while all this COVID stuff is going on?
Well, I'm very lucky. I live on somewhere called the Lee Valley, just north of the Olympic Park on the east
Mm,
side of London. So we've
mm-hmm.
got an awful lot of open space here, and we can just go for
Mm,
miles and miles. So yeah, I've been out a lot, and it's been
good,
amazing. But
nice.
I don't know. It's probably a little bit of both, but all of a sudden we're all more mindful, and I've really
Mm.
tuned into birdsong over the last 3 months, and I think
Oh, okay.
and I can sit in my kitchen with the back door open and hear birds and know what they are
Mm,
without even seeing them now. It's like, and I think that,
really?
yeah, yeah, and that, well, it's, and I know the robins and they got more than one, they've got a song, but they've also got a chirp and it's things like that. So,
Mm.
like I can go and see my robin friends and
Yeah, actually, I've had the same situation
yeah,
where you just have time to notice things like that you didn't have before.
yeah,
But what's going to happen to the party scene? Because I mean, that's been huge for you. You've had an incredible influence and also a great time. I imagine you've been at all the best parties in the music scene in London for 30 years.
yeah.
So what's going to happen to parties? Because we can't just keep doing this online, can we?
No, it doesn't really work for me online, even in the gigs. I've
Mm,
watched some and it's good, but I'm a people person. I like to be around people and I like
yeah,
to be out.
yeah.
I don't really, I struggle to sit and watch things on a screen for too long.
Mhm, mhm.
So I don't. Do you know? It's a worry. It's a worry, to be
Is it?
honest. I
Yeah.
think so. I think because
No, yeah, yeah.
I don't have the answer to that. I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean, we're having to start in the UK. We're just starting to have outdoor things starting to happen,
okay.
but not on a
But
mass
you
scale.
guys have always had a lot of festivals, really
Mm.
great festival, and you've been big on that circuit, but so how do you think we manage it just smaller?
At the moment, there ain't going to be any
Mm.
festivals really this year. Um,
Yeah, now everything's been canceled.
and I have friends, friends of mine. Their business is sup- running stages and supplying bands, really quirky, creative
Yeah.
stuff for festivals all year long, and they've built up the most amazing company. The guy who runs it, he become an MBE.
Mm.
He was awarded by the Queen for his work
Oh,
with,
lovely.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you know, and they've been like 20, 25 years building this most incredible company and brand, and
Mm.
it could all just come to
Could be
nothing.
struggling. Yeah, everybody's
Whoa.
struggling. Everybody's struggling. Nobody saw this coming.
No, I
You know,
don't
a
know.
world where there's no live in-person events.
No, I don't. Yeah, I wish I had the answer. I mean, theatre is very much the same. It's
Mhm.
tough. It's tough, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we entered this COVID. I did thinking this kind of period. Oh well, this is 2 or 3 months, and then we'll go back to normal. But it actually,
Right.
it's not. That's not the case, unfortunately.
Yeah, so do you think that there is, I mean, I ask you this question because I know you are someone who is used to having to bounce back. You know, you've had some pretty significant challenges in your life. Like even as you mentioned earlier, you know, you got quite ill and you're used to having to think ahead and adapt and plan. And I mean, do you think that's just a personal gift you have, or is that just what this is going to require?
I don't know. I think. I mean, creative industry, creative people. They are that that you know. What's on the tin is what's on the label is what is in the tin. They are creative people,
Yeah.
and you know, it's say in New York, in London, in many cities, but it's a struggle. It's been a struggle the last few years with venues closing, but it's amazing, despite property going up and gentrification, at how they cannot seem to kill those creative spaces. They keep popping up.
Mm,
And so that's what creative
mm,
people do.
mm,
They do have tenacity. I
mm.
guess maybe I have that. I enjoy life too much to to
Yeah.
to want to, bend over to just kind of keel over. But and I think creative people would. Yeah, they will try their damnedest. They are to continue and do what they do,
Yeah.
and cr- proper creative people, not so-called in kind of speech marks creatives, but proper creative people.
Mm,
They
yeah.
they, a lot of them, a lot of us, community, yourself, I'm sure we don't buy into 9 to 5. We don't buy into
Yeah.
so we have to find another way of making things work for us.
I've
And
I've wondered though, you know, if we're going to be losing a large part of our audience to this online lifestyle though. You know, there's a it seems like a lot of there's like a mainstream population of people that really is gravitating towards it. And it's interesting because there's maybe a difference between content creators and the audience, you know, where if the audience is super comfortable being at home, being online, doing the, you know, Zoom chats and performances and small parties, I wonder if the population is going to change. And then we're, you know, creatives are going to have to move along with that, or if we're going to end up, you know, it's a very weird time that no one anticipated at all.
no,
But I've just noticed like the reaction I've had is just to be like, ugh, like the amount of stuff out there now. It's like this mound. When I think of it, it's just this mountain of stuff, a lot of it garbage. But you know, it's wonderful people can sit at home and feel satisfied and feel creative and feel like they have a space, but we know a lot of it is toxic. And you know, I think that's been my concern, is that this is going to create a toxic culture, and you know, the audience that we would normally have, what's going to happen to them over the course of time? Where are they going to be at? You know, are they going to want to come back out and get back to normal life and keep connecting with other people,
I
connect
think
with other
so.
human beings? Yeah, you're
Yeah,
hopeful.
no, I mean, well, you see it all. I mean, I see it right on my doorstep. I live.
Yeah.
We've got somewhere called Hackney Marshes, which is a huge
Uh-huh.
open space where I live, and the
Yeah.
kids have been having parties over there all through lockdown.
Oh,
They
heck
yeah.
no.
We've even had helicopters flying over above.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
to the police trying to kind of clamp down on it.
Monitor. Yeah.
It's been,
Yeah.
yeah, young people. I mean, it's summer. They want to fraternize as well, So why not?
Yeah, so-called fraternization laws in England that I was hearing about.
Yeah.
So
So
how I mean, you're not having outdoor parties
no.
presumably. So, but you get out and you do your cycling. Do you have, I mean, in the past you've done some amazing challenges, international rides and things like that. Do you have anything planned?
Well, I should have been at international races this summer. I should have been in Romania last month,
Mm,
and I was gonna
mm,
trying to avoid aeroplanes, and I was going to get a train to Berlin and then cycle from Berlin to Romania and then do a race. And
yeah.
that's not happened. But
Yeah.
I've just, yeah, the first races, they're just starting to come back. So there's one in a cross country triathlon in on the south coast in
Wow.
September. They've just
Wow.
announced, so I've just put my entry in for that. Yeah, I mean, again, with for me, I mean, it'd be interesting. I have these discussions like I'm having with yourself, and it, in some respects, that kind of FOMO thing, it also relates to sports and activity, and that
Oh, yeah.
I can go out and do things, but in a more relaxed manner, which is quite refreshing as well. So I'm
Mm,
quite enjoying
mm,
not having. I love racing. There's something. It's so the adrenaline of it is amazing.
mm,
And there's a community base when so many. I mean, there's a change, isn't there? There are
mm,
so many people want to be in the yoga or running or
mm.
cycling or doing
Self-care.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, eating well. You
Yeah.
know, and I
A
think
lot of people are
that's.
saying that this is a healthy change. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so positive. I mean, this is pre-COVID, but even more now. So,
Yeah.
and I like the next thing. This my prediction is trail running. I see the beginnings of people just want to
Mm.
get out in forests and
Yeah.
countryside with their friends, and you go running. And
Yeah. I love that actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the next big thing. Running here is just huge, and trail
Mm.
running, like not races particularly, but or long races. So yeah, we'll see.
Although I heard like that the bike sales went through the roof more than
Mm,
ever before. And so that's quite interesting too. So it was more people cycling, just not in these large competitions. So there's just like more people outside being free, having healthy lifestyles. Maybe, nobody has to commute to work anymore. So it's like people just having a good time.
yeah, no, apparently there's hardly a brand new bicycle available in the UK at the moment.
Yeah, no, no, it's the same here. Because I was actually thinking of getting one
Mm.
because I'm right by the beach and I get a little bit bored of walking. I also similar, I punished myself for years doing fitness stuff and my injuries and stuff. So I said, a bike would be brilliant. They've got a nice bike pack that goes right along the beach. I couldn't even get a bike.
Yeah.
I was like, are you serious? Like, I mean, now at some point, if I want to go super expensive, but I leave that to you guys. I don't need a super bespoke, like crazy bike. I just want to go up and down the beach with it. But and I thought maybe I can get some roller skates.
Well,
I want to bring that back. That's like my favorite thing to
do you
do.
know, that's another prediction. I can see that happening already. Old school, 8 wheels,
Yeah.
not
So
inline.
yeah, so I've done it. I mean, like when I've gone to LA in the past, and I'm like, I'll go down to the beachfront and make people go roller skating with me, and it's my favorite thing to do because it's
I'm there.
ridiculous. Yeah,
I'm there. I'm up for that. I'm really,
yeah,
really up for it.
yeah. You can come join me. So I think that's what. Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity. But this is what I keep saying, opportunities and challenges, right? It's just a very weird time with a lot of very interesting things on the table. And I wanted to bring up actually, you have done a lot of international work. and you've been all over the globe, and you've, what's your background recently doing the cumbia, and you have like a lot of like an Afro Colombian and Afro Brazilian and all this kind of stuff. I know in the past we had talked about you had an interest in African texture and textiles and design, and maybe integrating that into your work. A whole lot of African
Yeah, I mean, that was
listeners
in.
that might be interested in that.
I was definitely inspired by African prints, and I found shops in East London just importing African fabrics. Incredible, the batiks and different
Mm,
prints. They're so beautiful. Yeah, and I was
mm,
looking at how you could incorporate that into cycle fashion, I guess, and kind of
yeah,
lifestyle sportswear. But the discussion with yourself was about this whole thing of cultural appropriation,
right, right.
which if some people are really quick to jump down on people who are
Mm,
taking ethnic kind of design or
right,
whatever. But I
yeah.
listened to a BBC talk and a philosopher, and it was a whole week, a series of talks, lectures on ethnicity, on race, on culture and identity.
Mm,
Uh, and that was one of the questions. What was thrown to him in the Q&A was about cultural appropriation, and
mm,
he said even it's not. There are people who are a bit too righteous about it. It was kind of what he was saying, and that um, it, where does that stop? Because even if you say I want to have a Nigerian print, actually, like Nigeria is a massive country, and there's huge
right,
tribes and different cultures, and actually,
absolutely.
so you could say people from the north of Nigeria are appropriating southern Nigerian
Mm.
creativity. If so it's
Is there saying like when does it stop? Like how
yeah,
low, how
yeah.
detailed do we
Uh,
get in
So
terms of saying
so
something?
people
Yeah.
sometimes someone's claiming, "Oh, that's my culture," and actually, it's not quite true. That's kind of what he was saying, I think. Um,
Yeah. There's a lot of gray areas in it for
so
sure.
it's
How do you even like in that conversation we did have, which was ages ago, you were super sensitive to that. And
yeah,
that's where
you
you had
have
said,
to be.
hey, looking for actual African artists who might want to participate in something like that. And because in our last interview, Point Blank, who's over in Nairobi, he was talking about the same thing. And he was talking about how, they did collaborations with Tanzanian artists from the Tinka tribe, and it was a process. He agreed. He said there was a process. They were not just allowed to use those things or disseminate that stuff, but then it got the locals involved. And so
Well,
I think, yeah, that's a really cool way to do it as well. And you
definitely.
can, yeah, I
My
think,
No, my whole thing really, whether it be music, fashion, whatever we do, but it's trying to bring some equality to the world, and opportunity. So, and being a white man from a Western country, I've had it very easy. Yeah, we can create projects, which I have been involved in different things in Kenya and Sri Lanka, different countries, and young people.
mm, mm,
If there's ways where we can help create business in those countries and bring out the creativity and create an equal playing field. What has to be our goal, doesn't it? Whatever we're involved in life, everybody should have an equal opportunity. So, if I can do
mm,
that, then great. Or if I can, we, my one of my inspirations is the old school philanthropists who, the industrialists of the kind of the 20th and the century
mm,
and or the 19th century, and they redistributed wealth in a big way, and they looked after
right.
their workers and things like that. And I think
Mm,
that
mm,
has to be the goal, really, if we
right.
can if we can do that.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think that's what with the community, we're looking at how to use the online platforms in order to get down into the trenches of people that normally don't connect with anyone at all. I mean, because there's levels to that. There's like the neighbor across the street or the guy across town or the guy under the bridge, and then there's a guy maybe under, like there are levels. And as you know, I've been traveling a lot internationally through the places where it's a level that doesn't get talked about much. And so those are the people I'm super interested and I want to see what they have to say. What are their lifestyles like at this time, and how can we collaborate, because they have benefit to us too. Like whenever I go to Africa, which I've been several times, and you go and you see, they're so much better at relationships than we are on some level, and like
Mm.
found like community and like talking and taking time. And whenever I've traveled even recently. When I traveled with my father internationally, and he said, I think we're psychotic. I think Americans legitimately might be psychotic. Because I know you would probably agree.
No comment.
Most Brits, yeah.
I ain't saying nothing.
Yeah, no, yeah. So I take it on board. I'm like, it's insane. The way we live is insane, and we have something to learn. We have a lot to learn, to be honest. And so that's why I love going overseas, because it showed me that I don't have to live with this insanity. And it's not even just about the pace. It's about their priorities, how they do things, the way they do things. And so I think there's a really great opportunity for collaboration there.
Mm.
We're so, like, on the American side, in the UK it's similar. We're so like material heavy. Like we have
Well,
all of the things, but we're missing kind of the soul of the things. Yeah, so I love that.
we we uh we live in fear cultures, and in the West we have a lot to lose, I guess, or we think we have a lot to lose. I think
Right,
that's the issue,
right.
really.
That's interesting. Yeah,
Mm.
that's interesting. Whereas maybe what you're saying, like
Yeah.
that carefree or more open spirit that you'll find overseas, is a result of having less and having different priorities as a result of that. No, it's
Well.
true. I think most in New York, when I was in New York, my hugest panic my entire life was I was going to be homeless.
Mm.
That's the fear in New York, is I'm never going to be able to sustain the amount of money that it takes to live. And you don't think like, oh, well, move and go somewhere else. You just think like, okay, I'm born here, I live here. You just think that that's the way to do things. And I lived with internal panic. Like that was not debilitating, but drove all of my decisions
Mm.
for a long time. Yeah. And then you come to realize, you travel and you maybe go, that's crazy. That's psychotic. That you living your entire life in fear of not having a home, like a place to sleep, a place because the location you live in doesn't really support that as a value. New York is like, yeah, you know what, $4,000 a month for rent is reasonable. You're like, what? Yeah, what it's like. London is the same.
Mm.
It's exactly the same. So, trying to just even have the basics at some point, we just live with so much fear of that. And somehow, whenever I've gone to some of these places, like even you go to Brazil, or, there's just a different approach, really. There definitely is a different approach. And so that's what, I'm going to put the word out to some of the guys that we have, that we're in touch with in the community, in terms of, maybe collaboration coming out of something with some designs, or yeah, that'd be awesome. I think part of what I'm doing at the moment is looking at bringing some of you guys into the work that I want to try to build here in my community, because I live in an arts district, and we have a lot of cool stuff that's starting out here that they're funding. A lot of programs and festivals and events. I live 3 blocks from where all the festivals are supposed to be. So everything was canceled for this year, but we're looking at hopefully next year to be sponsoring and doing some 2050C international collaboration stuff. So you never know, maybe we can get you involved in something like that with some of the African guys, just
Mm.
to bring everybody together and, share the love, share the experience, come out of this COVID thing, hopefully stronger than we were. So how are you? I asked, how is it that you are keeping sane during this time? Do you have a special playlist or a special regimen or?
Yeah, well, I think just discipline for myself and just making routines, which is something I kind of worked on for a while before COVID, it was even a thought.
Mm,
But just that's what works for me. Just really consistency and routines every day. Um, yeah, and just keep it and a determination that going into COVID and lockdown that I'd keep the routines up. So going for me, I don't need to be up all night anymore. So
no, who could do that?
yeah, so it's quite strict at getting to bed at a reasonable time and getting up early. I'm up.
Mm,
I'm up at seven
mm,
o'clock, half,
mm,
quarter to seven, and
mm,
I'm spending. I part of being. I've had several kind of bouts of sickness, but I had a period where it
mm,
was almost like my body was collapsing, and I had
mm,
permanent backache, and
mm,
I do a regime every day of stretching and core exercises. We started off with
mm.
simple press ups and sit ups, and now it's about 45, 50 minutes of
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
I love it. So that's part of eating really well, just really strict on that,
Mm,
and yeah,
mm,
and those things that keep me sane. Obviously, like this conversation now, make a big effort, even though I couldn't see people, making a big effort to have call people up, video chats,
mm.
keeping in touch with people, keep
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
yeah. So all of those things, yeah, and
So
taking a little
what?
bit of mindfulness, listening to bird song, and it's not been a
Mm,
problem for me, but
mm,
it is because I guess I enjoy life and I'm motivated. So I always
mm.
to be I get bored very easy. Do you find that for yourself?
I hyper focus
Yeah.
on massive complex tasks.
Mm. But
So yes, it might be the answer if I wasn't so good at finding those.
exactly. So I get bored very easy. I don't get bored because I keep myself out. I've always got more than enough
Oh
things to be
yeah,
getting
you're
on.
all over. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what I'm interested in hearing about is this special diet you've got going on because I know for me, my COVID diet. You don't want my COVID diet.
Okay.
I'm like, I like have to struggle to think about the last time I saw a vegetable, and
Oh
it's
wow.
terrible. No, it's terrible. I forced myself to eat some fruit yesterday. I was like, wow, like I could feel it running through my body. I haven't had anything healthy. So what you're the complete opposite, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm at the
What's your
point.
diet like?
Well, I'm at the point where if I eat unhealthy, I just don't feel right anymore. So
Yeah,
I've got
yeah.
really sensitive to it. But I'm doing this, trying to stick to this 16-hour intermittent fasting now. Do you know about that?
Really? Yeah,
Mm.
sure, but explain it.
Well, it's pretty much what it says. So I try and finish eating for the day by 6 o'clock in the evening, and then I won't eat
Mm,
till 10 o'clock the next morning at the earliest. So you have a 16-hour period of not eating.
yeah,
And it gives your body you use a lot of energy in digestion, so it gives your body an awful lot of time to not use that energy on digestion, but use that body on replenishing your body and resting and healing
right,
and all of
right.
those things. So and it works.
I
I'm
find it
sticking to
so
that.
funny. I just find it so funny that this is the new thing that like, Americans and Europeans have to
Mm,
do to like stay fit is to stop eating.
mm,
It's like the complete opposite from the other half of the world.
yeah,
Like the
for
cool
sure.
new thing is to not eat so much.
Mm,
But yeah, but I also know that you have like a really dope diet too, where you don't eat certain things and you eat a lot. I've seen you do it. Do you have a special? No, I mean, for me, it's noteworthy because I don't eat like that.
right. Steffi, I mean, I am probably obsessive compulsive, so I, I've I've
No, but
worked.
I think you've like, is it like, are you paleo? Are you like, what's the thing you do
I'm
aside
not.
from the fasting?
I'm. What do they call it? Flexitarian. I occasionally eat vegetables.
Oh, okay,
No,
right.
that was a joke. A poor
Yeah,
joke.
yeah. But you
No,
you just like
I'm
you're the
not.
nuts and berries guy.
At home. I'm pretty much vegetarian or pescatarian.
Mm,
I
mm.
do eat fish, and then my mum insists on giving me meat when I go there, so I will eat meat at
Good
my
old British
mother's.
mom. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, meat is not too often. But also aware that I'm reading quite a lot about how much we need protein. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's really so how we get the protein, and you can get that from nuts and pulses and eggs or dairy. But yeah, you need
Yeah.
to make so. But yeah, I'm up to something like 30 different supplements a day. I'm doing in
Are
total or
you?
something. Yeah,
Okay.
so I'm making like my own kefir, kombucha,
Really? Okay.
superfood porridge with just everything in it.
Wow. So
I
that's
s
why you have a good cooking show. I would love to see some of that. That sounds really fun.
Yeah, soaking seeds every day for the next day, and a lot of
Oh,
things.
really?
We've been making like kimchi, Japanese, Korean kimchi, so a lot
Yeah,
of fermented
nice.
foods. And yeah,
Wow.
so loads of vegetables were growing and salads here and herbs and
I don't understand how you have time to do that and run a fashion label. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, I guess with all the extra time you have not going out, isn't it? Yeah.
well, yeah. I get up at 7 and I don't stop till 10 or 11 at night most days.
Yeah,
So
right, exactly. That sounds super fun. I want to try to catch that, or maybe you can push something our way because I know you're going to do some shows on 2050C. You're going to be doing a DJ set,
yeah,
correct?
yeah,
You
yeah.
can do whatever you want. You can, if you want to share some of that food love our way, that would be amazing. What kind of music can people expect to hear on your 2050C show?
Yeah, so my
Which is going to be,
background's
that'll be Mixcloud, right? Yeah.
yeah, mixed cards as well. I'll probably put it up, but I won't program it too much, so it just
Okay.
be freestyle and see what happens. But I mean, my thing the last few years, it's trends. What a lot of us are on is tropical music, really. So African
Mm,
and Latin music, but with a tropical feel.
mm-hmm.
That's really what I love, and there's so much old music there. Finding out really never really saw the light of day other than in the region it was made, and all of a sudden it's getting international exposure, and
Mm.
that is absolutely. I'm just loving that music, and the latest thing is like Arabic music, like kind of
Oh,
James
I
Brown,
love it.
like funk bands from
Mm.
from Lebanon or Liberia, or I don't know,
Mm.
not
Yeah,
Liberia, from
I would love, yeah.
yeah. So all of that is all of a sudden getting exposed from the 70s, and it's
Really?
fantastic. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, I love it.
So there's a label called Habiji Funk, I think it's called, and he's just specialising on reissuing all this
Mm.
kind of Arabic funk music from the 70s, which is incredible. So
Like, thank you.
yeah, and then there's some always great new music coming out, and this is the beauty of the age we live in and the internet and digital age, and some kid in a barrio in Colombia can
Yeah,
make incredible music. They
yeah.
haven't got to get it pressed. They haven't got to have distribution. They can master it themselves and put it up for sale on
Yeah,
Bandcamp and create
yeah,
their own videos. And the videos can be really creative, and they don't have to cost much money. And they've got
right.
great locations wherever they are.
Oh,
So
yeah, they do, yeah.
so I was making compilations of this kind of thing called in the early 2000s called Future World Funk, and we used to sell really well. And
Mm,
it was basically kind of looking at where dance music and dance culture met world music. And it was
mm.
a new thing. It's called global beats now, but we didn't even have that term at the time. But
Right,
I remember
yeah.
the second volume we did, we were selling really well. But to create to find 12 tracks of quality to put on a compilation was a struggle.
Yeah,
I
hard
mean,
work,
now I could
like
find
full-time work.
yeah, now I could find 12 great tracks in a day.
But that was part of the fun back then was, like, searching and going to the record shops, and, I
Yeah.
mean, it was like a real thing, yeah.
They weren't even in the record shops. I had to find the producers and find the people and
Yeah.
interact with them and get
Wow.
yeah, it was difficult. It was really hard. But it was
Mm,
like we like the Brazilian drum and bass thing, and then there was Bangor came through, and then there was this kind of
mm,
we had a few years later like a whole new Balkan music scene, which was really fun.
mhm. Mm,
And then, as you mentioned, the cumbia coming out of originally actually, cumbia is Colombian, but the
yeah.
first stuff was coming out of Mexico. The kind of new cumbia
Ah, okay.
were out of Monterrey, of a guy called Toy Selector who gone on to do massive things. And yeah,
Mm,
like so mixing that traditional cumbia and accordions and stuff with hip hop, and they did it
yeah.
really, really well. And I mean, that's become a
Nice.
massive thing. And you got El Dusty, who had like worldwide massive hits now and doing that
Mm,
music. And
mm.
it's yeah. I mean, that's so it's great. It's so exciting when what the digital platform has opened up for us. It's yeah. I mean,
Yeah, you have to know where to look. Hopefully you can, in your show, open people up to that whole
mm,
thing because I
so
love it. But if I'm with you or you take me to like, it's brilliant. It's always like a master class of like excellent global views. But for me to sit down in front of a laptop and find that stuff, not going to happen. I just don't have the headspace for it. Yeah, so
oh,
it's brilliant to have a show, someone who can like literally just put it at the forefront because even someone like me, I would think that a lot of that stuff used to be analog vinyl type things. Like
mm,
how can you even reissue this stuff from the 70s from Lebanon or wherever it is?
mm.
Like I can't imagine the massive project that would have to be.
That for those guys who do it, generally they're very moral and very principled in the way they do it, so they won't reissue stuff until they've found the rights to the owners of the recordings
Yeah.
and make sure they get paid. I mean,
Yeah.
most of the people who record this stuff, they're like taxi drivers
I
in
bet, yeah.
Ontario or somewhere, or like there's a Somalian funk band, and
Yeah.
I found their videos on YouTube a while ago. I was like, "Oh, it's
Love
amazing!
that.
Someone should reissue it." And then somebody did. But these guys all live in London now. They're not in Somalia.
Ah, right. Wow.
Reformed in London and doing gigs. But yeah, so
They
yeah,
had their
music.
one hit and then bounce. They were like,
Yeah, so,
right, I'm out of here. Yeah. It's
what a
interesting that
blessing.
you mentioned Somalia because that's one of the next places that, we're hoping to bring some people on from out there. Do they have a funk scene or a global beat scene that you're tracking?
I don't know what they have now.
Yeah,
I don't
it'd
know.
be interesting. Yeah, yeah, that's the question that I just pushed out
Well, for
today.
sure, there'll be a rap scene. I mean, and there's people doing
Oh, there's
great,
definitely a rap scene. Yeah, no, there's
yeah,
definitely a rap scene. There's
and
some
and,
good
and
stuff.
also there's people covering the fashions in these countries. So there's people like some of the fashions doing photo essays really or photo documentaries
Right.
of street fashion in all these places. I mean,
Yeah.
there's girl biker gangs and kids
Yeah.
skateboarding in different
Yeah.
countries and
Yeah.
some
That's what
really
we're gonna try to, highlight some of that stuff. I love it. That's
mm,
literally where my headspace is. Like you're saying, your inspiration is coming from the man in the street. And I'm the same, but I love to see what people are doing over the fence. The weird the more obscure the place, the better. For me, that's kind of
mm,
yeah, I want to see these dark corners and like find it super fascinating. And now that we can't get out and travel and do it in person, we're just doing our best to kind of, we're going to get a lot of these artists on and, get people to submit.
great
But you have to realize that, in some of these places, it's quite normal for them to not even have access, to the capabilities to put that stuff up online. That's one of the challenges that we're actually having. It's a normal issue for some people.
for sure.
If they're not living like right in the middle of an urban area,
Mm.
they're like, I don't have a smartphone, I don't have internet, or they have to go a long ways to get it. And so we're trying to capture stuff from that, the depths from where those people are at and kind of bring it back out. And so it's a fun challenge. It's a worthwhile challenge, to go. We're trying to get people out to some of those places and see how we can support and bring. It's not about getting people online. It's more just about getting, their stories heard and getting their faces seen and kind of hearing what they have to say.
That sounds
Um,
fun.
yeah, yeah. I hope so. I mean, I hope it can stay fun, because here, I don't know it's happening by you guys, but they're saying that things are starting to peak again. The virus is starting to peak here again, and they're like shutting back down. So, I mean, this is a really weird period of time. I mean, we were hoping, everybody was hoping to have traveled by now, and gone back overseas and but now they're saying, it's a whole nother round. So it's a really strange, unstable times, to be honest.
It is. It is. Yeah. Who knows what the future holds? But
Yeah, but at
no
least we know
one
that
knows
you're gonna be healthy and happy and
for sure.
putting out good clothes. And so I can't wait to see the stuff, because that's like the Santa Cruz thing is kind of my thing too, which is why I live at the beach. And I'm in a community that is quite like a surf and beach community, and I love hearing longboards, the whole thing. Go to the beach, people are surfing. So that's definitely a lot of fun. So to see the bike element brought into that is definitely something I will look out for. So we're going to wrap up, but I'm going to make sure that we can, we'll put the links to make sure people can get to your site and get your stuff and connect with you personally. And we will definitely put out the information or when you're going to start your show on Mixcloud, your Global Beats show. Looking forward to that for sure. Anything else that you want everyone to know about?
Just people to look out for each other, please. That's all.
Yeah, right.
You
Yeah.
know. Yeah. We let's use this time to just reflect and yeah, spread some love.
Slow down. Yeah,
Slow down, spread some love. That's that without getting too deep, but
that's that
that's
simple.
that's we got to get beyond being. Well, I think most of us we've been selfish beings, and we got to get.
Yes.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely forcing the opportunity there. Well,
yeah,
Russ,
thank you.
you've been a lovely a lovely friend and a lovely artist for as long as we've known you. So thank you for
My
sharing
pleasure.
the love with us and sharing the love to these international communities.
Thank
And
you.
stay safe out there, stay healthy, and we will be hearing more from you very soon.
Cool. Thank you, Steffi. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, no worries. More soon. Ciao.